Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. I hope you're all well. Avid listeners of the podcast, or avid viewers of the podcast I should say, will see that there is a slight difference from my setup this week. I have finally moved house. I'm in new location and I'm holding the microphone because nothing is quite out of boxes yet. I don't know where stuff is, so if the audio on this is a little funny, I do apologise. But nevertheless, me and Dan have a great episode for you this week, and we're going international. Off the back of the AP International, we are speaking to Nyls Korstanje from the Netherlands.
I'm actually quite excited to get Nyls on and have a chat about his performances because they have been quite incredible as of late, actually. Most notably going sub 51 in the 100 fly in Paris, and then probably more recently, definitely. Improving on his Dutch record in the 50 fly at the AP International just gone. We actually watched and filmed a set that Nyls did in Summer Bay, actually, and the Dutch team were really put through the grinder that day, and it seems as though the hard work that they're doing is really starting to pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of been a really good chance for us to speak to someone who've actually seen training this year. Like we've said, that's been a goal for us over the past 12 months is to get to more training sessions, bring more access from behind the scenes, and we've done Ollie Morgan, we've done Loughborough 50s, we've done out in Summer Bay with our partner of this podcast. We've actually seen the Dutch squad at work, and Nyls was one of them. And like you said, Dan, it was one of the most brutal sessions we've seen, but it was team bonding is what we were told by Peter Bishop. Now, if you're interested in going to Summer Bay, like a British club are going very, very soon, a very big British club, we'll hopefully be there to capture some of that. You can inquire now using the link in the description of this podcast, and your inquiry will be sent straight to Sports Abroad, who are well versed at booking swimming clubs on swimming camps, as everyone listening to this podcast should know. But without further ado, Dan, let's jump into this week's episode with Nyls Korstanje. So welcome onto the podcast this week, Nyls Korstanje. Nyls, thank you so much for joining us. Whereabouts in Netherlands are you based right now?
Yeah, so I'm in Eindhoven. Maybe some of the listeners to the podcast have been to that pool. It's the Peter Van den Hoogenbaan pool.
I was going to say Dan's raced there.
You raced there?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's a great location. Like I would honestly say maybe one of the best pools in Europe.
I can't disagree. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was great. Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us this week. We're going to go through like AP International, the Dutch Swimming Association, like how that setup works, because actually we see a lot of you guys racing over in this country, and it would be great to know sort of how the setup works. But I think let's start off with, you've just broken your own Dutch record in the 50 meters fly. So that makes you now the 10th fastest ever in that event long course. That must kind of sound amazing to hear that, break into that top 10.
Yeah, that was actually pretty wild. I told people that I was feeling good before the race. Like I was gonna do some crazy swimming. That's what I was. That's how it felt. But like it always has to happen, and I wasn't tapered. So like it just during warm up, I feel like the technique just hit, and that was pretty phenomenal. I mean, it was like the crowd was also pretty hype. I think just the fireworks and stuff kind of got me ready to go. And it was, I'm very happy. I'm very excited to see how it goes during trials and also at Worlds itself. Yeah.
So how significant was it for you to hit a time like that, untapered, leading into this summer?
Well, it was definitely a confidence boost. I've been struggling a bit with a lower back injury. So 2 weeks ago, I was supposed to go to Paris to a meet, but I didn't end up going. So here it was just like, try to get we have a saying, get the dots on the I, like final repetition for when it really matters. So that was a little nerve wracking, just see how it works out with the back. And, it went great. So just gotta reproduce this, I guess.
What's been going right in your training then to make that swim possible?
I wouldn't say anything specifically. I've actually mostly been focusing on the 100 fly. Since that just requires the most work. Like obviously I put a lot of effort and detail into the sprints that I do. I really try to focus on doing them perfectly. but all the main sets are still on 100 fly work, and those have actually been going really well. We've been training a little bit differently this year because Peter Bishop, Kyle Chalmers' coach, became our new head coach, and he has some new things that we're trying out, and that's been going really well. So I'm still very excited for the 100 fly, but that just, the puzzle pieces didn't fall together for that one yet.
I remember watching an interview with you, and I think you might have been, it was an interview at NC State, I believe, and you were talking about wanting to become the fastest 50 fly swimmer ever. I can't remember if it was maybe potentially yards or whatever. And you said the nerves got the better of you, or you kind of overswam your race. How do you overcome those things, if you even do still overcome them now?
Yeah, no, it's with the 50 fly, it's such a fine line, like you want to kind of have your stroke rate up, but you also don't want to start spinning. And it's really a matter of, how can you get your stroke rate up as much as you can and put as much effort into your stroke as possible without really gaining a lot of resistance, because that's kind of the problem with the fly. If you put in more effort, you gain a lot of resistance. And yeah, just really focusing on that, and kind of keeping it a little bit low key almost. It really helps in the 50 fly because once you start tightening up and it getting a little scary, you just start wanting it too hard, and that's always a problem.
So I remember you were very sort of time focused, obviously wanting to be the fastest, but then you kind of changed that mindset to being process driven. Does that help? Is that the advice you'd give to younger swimmers out there?
Oh, for sure. It's like the moment you start focusing on the time, it just goes wrong. You just always have to do it. Like that, the time will come. It's always like if you do the training right, if you sleep well, if you eat right, and if you just have consistency in your build up, and if you have a plan, and if you stick to that plan, the time's gonna come. And if you keep improving, that time's gonna keep improving. So definitely, yeah, the process is honestly the only thing that you can influence. Yeah.
So obviously a lot of your process recently has come, or actually going into an Olympic cycle, your focus would have been the 100. And we've started talking a lot about the 50 here, but you've seen a lot of success over the 100 meters fly. You are sub 51 seconds, which is a massive marker in 100 meters fly. So what does it mean for the 50 to be added to the Olympic program for you? Does it actually matter, or is it just sort of like a free hit for you?
Well, actually, I think it's pretty awesome because it just gives me one extra shot at the gold. Right now, all the training has been geared towards the 100, because that's the serious one. The 50 was always a kind of a side quest, and I used to always be pretty good at it. I'm very curious how it's going to go if I really focus on that 50. Because I've always been kind of shifting towards, I would say my optimal event would be the 75 fly. So it's I've always kind of shifted upward, and now I might try to shift downward a little bit. So yeah, no, I'm just excited to have another shot and just play around and see where it can get me. Yeah.
We've spoken to a few of the Brits over in this country, and it's it takes the pressure off both events, if that makes sense, because you've got two shots now instead of I know you're heading into your first world trials that the Dutch swimmers have done in a while, but over here sometimes you only get one shot to make that team, whereas now swimmers have two shots. And if you're going into a major meet, instead of just saying okay, all eggs are in one day's racing, which is really, really pressure filled, okay, if it doesn't click on this day, I've got another shot. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, no, you're so right. It does really, yeah, it kind of balances out the nerves almost. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We have similar conversations with Lauren Cox, who obviously won the biggest prize award, if you like, at AP. And she's, for me, she's a strong 50 swimmer, obviously breaking the British record, but the relay incentive is the 100. And she still says that I'm training for the 100, and the 50 is, I can't remember the word she said, but let's call it a bonus, if you like. Is that the same sort of mindset for you as well?
Well, maybe right now it still is, yeah, because it's kind of always been that way. maybe towards the Olympics, depending on where I do better, it might become my main focus. Like I've always kind of projected that I would quit after LA, like that would be my final meet. But now I've kind of like, what if I just, start working an actual job and then still be able to swim a little bit for fun and keep the 50 fly, and just, lift a lot, see where that takes me. It just opens up more possibilities. Like I never thought I'd even consider staying until 2032.
Brisbane, isn't it?
Yeah, Brisbane seems.
I mean, it worked for Santos. Santos was what, 42 or something like that, and he still did pretty well.
Oh, there's been some success in the 50 fly for old people, so who knows?
So we're coming straight off the back of the AP International. I kind of want to know, because over here it's growing in kind of stature and popularity, but as an international swimmer, what draws you over to a meet like that?
Well, I think it's just around this time of year, you just want to have a bunch of very high quality meets where you can really practice your racing well. And I think the tradition of Europeans has been to kind of go to the Mare Nostrum meets, which are in Barcelona, Cannes, and Monaco. But that, like, quality-wise, it's more a tradition to go there. It's always fun because everybody goes there. But, like, quality-wise, I think the AP event was just way better. Like, the pool is better, the warm-down pool is better, the area is better. You're not dependent on the weather. There's just hype inside the stadium. Like, that's a big deal. And that, like I think time-wise, it worked out perfectly. Because also for the Netherlands, it's rather close. It was only an hour flight, which me and my teammate unfortunately missed on the way there.
I did.
So that was unfortunate. We spent like 9 or 10 hours at the airport for a 50-minute
Really?
flight. Yeah.
I was going to say there's loads of flights coming over from Schiphol usually to anywhere in the UK.
Yeah, that's what we thought. But then everything.
Oh, right. Okay.
A 9-hour wait. Wow.
Yeah, that was not fun. It's with my my buddy Tiago Gomez. He's gonna be a stud. I can feel that. But yeah, he was extremely sad. It was like, unfortunate situation. But we got the best of it and we made it. But yeah, no, I think for a lot of countries in Europe, it's like a great shot to have high competition because the Brits are just pretty good at swimming, so good competition for sure. Yeah.
I mean, when you list off the locations of where Mare Nostrum is, like Cannes, sounds amazing, Monaco, it's like, how do you turn those sort of places down to then, I know London obviously is quite a good city, I guess.
Yeah, for us, not so much, but
for British side, it's okay. But like Monaco sounds amazing. It's difficult for us to understand turning that down, I guess. So, our immediate thought is maybe the prize money is bigger, but I'm not so sure it is. I don't know.
I wouldn't say the prize money is bigger per se. I think, like, for us, the reason to go is just because of the quality of the meet. Like, it's just a nice pool. I was saying that Eindhoven is a nice pool. Like, it's probably one of the nicest in Europe, but maybe London is, like, slightly higher in niceness than Eindhoven. The Barcelona pool is also pretty nice, but then the warm-down situation there is just... horrible.
Yeah.
Like a kiddie pool.
I think what we've heard from over here is the meet kind of gives you those event skills. So it's set up in a sense that actually it's not mirroring exactly a World Championships.
No.
But it's kind of giving you the opportunity to get used to it is a big arena. Like that London pool, you won't get many stadiums like that for a swimming meet. So it's preparing nerves, going through your race processes, cool room, walking out to, like me and Dan did it for just a little race, and you see the media race. You see just this huge like space in front of you that swimming pools don't usually have. They don't have masses of space around you. So like it's good to hear that it's not just Brits looking at that meet as, what is important in terms of swimming to go to this. It's kind of drawing others in as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like practicing that race preparation and the whole dealing with just the pressure and the nerves is yeah, it's a great moment for that. And then also with Adam watching, I can imagine that for the Brits that's a big deal too. Uh, yeah, no, is I've very much enjoyed it. It's also I really liked walking around the new park. I was
Yeah,
the
Olympic Park,
ginormous
yeah.
was it Queen Elizabeth Park or something?
Yeah, yes, the old Olympic Park, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I don't know, it was a nice area. Yeah, for sure. Got to see the rings. I was actually there when I was a kid. When I was it 13? 13 years old? I was in the
Oh, okay.
stands,
That's cool.
Wow.
and I watched
Man,
it.
you managed to get tickets and we didn't.
Yeah, well, I got
Can you
tickets
believe?
for the prelims, man. It was like
Oh, okay.
I don't think a Dutch person even swam when we were watching, but it was still, just being there it was like the tunnel, because sides were like up,
Oh,
like,
yeah, we're
like
so much
wings.
higher.
Yeah.
And it was just like looking down a tunnel and just seeing a tiny pool at the end. Um, it was cooler to be there from the pool's perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's,
bet. I bet.
Yeah.
Now, I think you said Dutch didn't have any swimming at that meet. God, how many years ago is that now? 12, 13 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
But recently, kind of Dutch swimming has got stronger and stronger as a nation. Do you feel like it's just going strength to strength right now?
Um, well, no. So actually, at that point, we were probably at our peak. Like I'm talking,
Okay.
I was talking about that morning.
Just that literal
We
prelims.
watched. Yeah, there was no Dutch swimmers, but no, that's when Renomi Kromowidjojo won the 50 free and the 100 free.
Okay.
So she really popped off there. Since then, we haven't had studs like that. Like Peter Van den Hoogenbond, Inge de Bruin, Renomi Kromowidjojo, like 1 second just reel in multiple medals. Well, there's Sharon, but that's in the open water. But yeah, like we've gotten some more depth and like quality wise, we're definitely better than we were back then. It's just that the entire world has improved quality wise. So I think with Peter Bishop, it's going to be interesting to see how he really like puts his signature on the program, and just see how we develop like in depth mostly. Like a lot of these people that went to the AP meet were young, and yeah, I think it was good for them too to see like, hey, this is what you can get out of swimming. Like let's push the limits. So.
Has Peter made any significant changes at all since he started?
So we've been on a training camp in Egypt, and that was a very nice camp to kind of start the season or at least the Olympic cycle, because we really focused on team, and creating our core values and our motto kind of, and we did that all together, like not just the big dogs, but also like the puppies kind of, and
Is that what they're called? Okay.
no, that's what I made up. So yeah, that was very fun, and we really are trying to kind of stick to those ideals. And yeah, like I think that is just a very nice addition, because in the Netherlands we're not really like motivational and thinking about being thankful, and I think that's something that he brought to the program to kind of really embrace that, doing it together and being thankful for being here. Yeah, it's nice.
I was going to say, we saw some of that session out in Summer Bay because we're lucky enough to be partnered with them.
Right.
And actually, it was one of the loudest swimming sessions I've seen. Like in terms of all of you guys whooping and hollering and building each other up. Is that part of what he wants you guys to be doing?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was a perfect example of how it can be if you work together as a big team. That was actually, I think I remember that session. That was one that I really enjoyed because we were grouped up with the entire team. Usually you kind of just have, your coach and do the practice with your small group kind of. But now it was everybody doing the same set all together, and yeah, that was just very fun because we were all racing each other and we were kind of crap talking each other, and it was very, yeah, like it reminded me a little bit of training at NC State, in college with
I can
30,
get that.
30 dudes, all messing with each other, and yeah, it was just very playful. Yeah.
I mean, we captured that session, and there are a lot of broken swimmers, it seemed, on the side of the pool, holding their hands in their head, and stuff like that. Do you get a lot of sessions like that under Pisa?
Well, not anymore. Like
Okay.
right now, obviously, because it's just more defined, kind of. Towards the end of the season, it just gets more focused and race specific. But at that point, it was very, yeah, it was rough for sure. And that I don't know if I've made that much lactate in my life during
Really?
relatively short practice. I was really, really like pushing myself there, which was great because the environment made it so that I could. Yeah, no, like I still train under Patrick, the one with the mustache.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Peter always looks and kind of has his input too. Yeah.
So Dan, this week's episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast is of course brought in partnership with Summer Bay. Now Dan, what's good about Summer Bay? I'm going to throw this straight to you and I know straight away what your answer's going to be.
Well, food for sure. It's definitely the food. And luckily, I suppose unluckily, because we didn't get Nyls to actually say it when we were live recording, but he actually really rates the place as well. Maybe we should have got that recorded. Never mind. He said it's everything that a swimmer needs.
Yep.
The food, the hotel's close. Obviously, the facilities are amazing.
And it's not just an Olympic training venue. Clubs can go out there on their training camps whenever they see fit and whenever they need to get there. And you can do so with Sports Abroad here in the UK. There's no one really better to book your training camp with. And all you need to do to start that inquiry off is to head to the link in the description of this podcast, and Steve and the team over at Sports Abroad will help you guys out from there. So if you want to book your next training camp on the Red Sea in Egypt at Summer Bay, you can do so now. I was going to say, for us outsiders then, what is the setup for Dutch swimming? Like, how does it work for different squads and where you're based and all of that sort of jazz?
So up to last Olympics, it was kind of where there was one national team in Amsterdam, one national team in Eindhoven, and those were like the big dog hubs. Then you had under that were two kind of swim academies. That's what they're called. For like, I would say like under 23 kind of.
Okay.
That was kind of the group. And then there's a bunch of other younger squads. I think there's 4 or 5 in the country with even younger people. Probably more spread out because then they can be closer to parents and, it's more important as well. But right now, that Amsterdam camp has moved to Eindhoven. So there's no group in Amsterdam anymore, and it's only Eindhoven. But there's multiple groups in Eindhoven. So there's Peter's group and there's Patrick's group. And then there's also Geert's group. That's the swim academy. And then in Amsterdam, there's still the swim academy with Kees. Yeah. And actually right now, Casper Corbo, he's still in Amsterdam. And yeah, from that squad, I mean, it's a complicated situation. They had to like regroup to Eindhoven. With a new coach, and like that was chaotic for sure. Arno,
Yeah, 'cause how far is that? I'm trying to think of geography here. How far is it between the two cities?
it's only like 1.5 hour. Like,
Okay.
not that far, but it's a little bit too far to drive back and forth every day.
For sure. Yeah.
Still really okay. So how many swimmers are in your squad per se?
I think there's 9.
Okay.
9 or 8.
Okay. So it's a bit like a performance center over here.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah.
It's just like that. We don't have university centers here, so those are what I just said were the national funded centers. Then there's also some clubs, and there's like a very high quality club in Rotterdam where Tessa Gila trains, like the one who won medals at World short course, and Sean Niebold, he trains there. Thomas Verhoeven trains there, other 50 flyer. And then there's some people at the club in Amsterdam and the club in Eindhoven. But yeah, that's like once you become good enough, you would go to national team center. That would be
or over to the States, like you did for a little while as well.
Yeah, or the States. That's another great option for sure. And there's actually a couple people who decided to go to Loughborough as well.
So from your perspective then, Dutch swimming, the system in Dutch swimming seems quite effective. You list off some of the amazing swimmers from before, from Conor Yo-Yo and Inge de Bruyne. From your perspective, why is the Dutch system so effective in developing world-class talent?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think, well, we're just very innovative. I would, if I had to name one thing, it would be the innovative mindset that we have. It's kind of in the culture, you know. You're never satisfied with where you are. You always want to be one step better, which can get very annoying sometimes because, you know, it's nice how in the US, for example, NCAA's has been the exact same thing literally for 50 years. But, you know, the fact that in the Netherlands there's the constant like renew factor, this is very good. And I think that really, like Peter van den Hoogenbond, I'm listening to his podcast with Jacco, the coach. They really point that out, like, hey, they were the first people to kind of go in a certain direction, and then the whole world followed. I think right now we're still kind of pushing those boundaries when it comes to innovation. And I think that's our strength for sure. We don't have the masses that America has or Great Britain has or Australia has, but I think with the few people that we do have, we try to maximize them.
Yeah. You got the height as well.
Yeah, we got
just
the
from
height,
going over. Got the height.
World. You're right. Yeah.
So if we look ahead then over the next few months, like, what's your expectations going into World Championships? And you've got trials in just 2 weeks' time. What are your personal goals?
I don't like saying that stuff on camera, so I'll just
that's fine.
I'll just be very, very broad with it. I mean, I really hope I can have my best performances of my life when it matters. That's an important one. So that would first be nationals, where I try to qualify, and then next step is Singapore, and you know where that takes me, I don't know. If that gets me a medal, I don't know. I'm not, I don't have influence on that. All I can do is influence myself, and if I do, the best I've done in my life, that'd be great.
Let's say it all goes well and you do qualify for Worlds after trials. How do you approach Worlds as a major meet, and how does it fit into your longer term plan, especially coming off like Olympics, like the start of a new cycle?
I think this time it's just we tried some new things this year. So it's been a little bit chaotic, I would say, especially compared to last year when it was just like, everybody was just locked in a tunnel. This year, I don't know. I'm just still gonna see it as the most important meet of the year. Like I've always, some swimmers, they kind of like to take a break after Worlds or after the Olympics and then, reset and then build back over the next 4 years. But I really like the sustainable growth of trying to be better every year. So that's what I'm going for.
Especially when you had momentum behind you off the back of Paris.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to kind of stop and give that up.
No, you're right. Well, maybe at some point I'll need a break.
Sure.
But right now it's looking like I can, I'm trying to keep it up until LA in 28.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Don't blame you.
Well, Nyls, thank you so much for coming on to this podcast. We usually finish with some quick fire questions just to get to know you that tiny bit better. So we'll race through them to finish. What is your favorite event in swimming?
Probably the 50 fly.
Nice. Who's your swimming idol?
Caleb Dressel.
Nice. what is the proudest moment in your swimming career so far?
Oh man, proudest moment. I would actually say the making the final at the Paris Olympics, because I knew that it was going to be very tight to make that final. You know,
That was a fast final.
It was
100 flyer was mental. Yeah.
No, it was like a lot of guys were extremely good leading up to the Olympics, and I knew I had to do it in the semifinal, and I did it in the semifinal. So yeah.
I just think it's amazing that you go sub 51 and you still finish, was it 5th or 6th in the final? It's just like, what on earth? The standard's just gone through the roof.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely momentum in the 100 fly right now, yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
What's the hardest set you've ever done in training?
Ooh, hardest set? I don't think a lot of people would find this very hard, but I did, like last year, I did a block of like 12 75s on 4 minutes or 3 minutes, and it was just all out every time, and it was just
like lactate tolerance,
as much lactic acid as possible.
Yeah,
and like at some point, I was just like I couldn't call it swimming anymore. You know, it was 12 and just 11 pain. And 10, 9, 8, like, and especially when it got to 6. It was like the quality was just extremely high, so it just started hurting even more. So yeah, that I would say just 75s fly on relatively a lot of rest. Yeah, that's probably that was pretty hard.
They were my hardest sessions as well. I was always sick about halfway through.
Yeah,
always.
no, exactly. Like
just because the lactic got you. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I also did some crazy stuff at NC State, but that was just honestly ridiculous. Not helpful. But
and final question, gets to know you a little bit away from a swimming pool. If you had gone on a road trip, it's 3 spaces in the car. You can take friends, family, celebrities, anyone you want with you. Who would go?
Ooh. Well, right now I'd really want to have a talk with Donald Trump, because I'm telling you, man, I could, like, that guy. I would like to tell him how to do it. Not no, I wouldn't let him in my car, actually. That's a great question. Maybe, oh man, I'd have to think about that.
Well, this happens, don't worry.
Can it be like dead people too?
Yeah. You can throw those in.
And I'd want to have a talk with Einstein. That'd be interesting. And then probably throw Caleb Dressel in there.
Nice.
And maybe the Dutch King.
Okay.
Oh,
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'll always want to have a good talk with him.
Nice.
I'll actually think about this one. I feel like I can have a better filled car. Yeah.
I'll just send us a message and we'll add it in the edit potentially. You never know. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to this week's episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. Best of luck for your trials in 2 weeks' time. I know there's a few Brits listening who know the pressure going into that meet, but hopefully all good, and we'll see you in Singapore this summer.
Awesome. Love that, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. And best of luck for the new personal best, and hopefully Dutch records as well. Yeah. They're coming quite nicely at the moment, so fingers crossed. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You've been listening to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast with Scott and Dan. We want to thank you for joining us and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as checking out the Propulsion Swimming YouTube channel for weekly tutorials and videos to get your swimming fix. We will be back next week. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.